Hi, I'm Sharaad Kuttan and welcome to Let's Talk, the show that brings you the most important conversations of the day. Education, of course, on the minds of Malaysians every day when we think about the future of our children. We continue to look at the education system today, particularly the teaching of what is called STEM subjects, and that's an acronym for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And we're going to be looking at that in particular because it tells us something about our schools, about our teachers, about our students, about our understanding of education. Now, STEM is not just these discrete subjects. It's actually seen as a way of integrating these four subjects in a way that changes or transforms its teaching. So it's supposed to be interdisciplinary, and applying your knowledge to real-world problems is also part of the STEM approach. Now, to help me with this, I have Kenneth Chia. He is the founder of The Learning Curve, also Dr. Thamil Selvi Velyutham, and Fahmi Fadzil, who's the MP for Lembah, Pantai. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry I mangled your names at the very start of the show, but I'm sure we can only get better after this. Now, let me start with you, Fahmi. Because you're MP for Lembah, Pantai, it's not very clear, apart from the fact that you actually graduated as a chemical engineer. What's your in on this conversation about STEM subjects and the curriculum we have in schools?
Yeah, I think, thanks for having us on the show. Definitely for me, I'm looking from the perspective of reforms. Yeah, I think a lot needs to change, a lot needs to be changed about the way we look at STEM, particularly I think the way that we look at science, engineering, mathematics, particularly because things are changing so quickly. And I feel that today the kids who are experiencing gadgets, they don't realize that actually what they're holding in their hands is light years ahead of whatever you and I had when we were a lot younger, which is only 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, but me, much, I mean, almost prehistoric. Also very interesting, I think people might know this about you, Fahmi, is that you went from chemical engineering into theatre. That in fact, in some ways, you straddle the sciences and the arts, and that's an amazing kind of... Holding those two things together, I think, is quite amazing. Now, Kenneth, explain your role and what the Learning Curve is.
So we started this company in a social enterprise in 2017 with one mission. So we have to make STEM a community, like I explained just now. So you have the Scouts, the Bulan Sabit Merah, Persatuan, and STEM has no such thing. And usually STEM are segmented in schools. You have the computer club, science club, engineering club. They are all separated. So what we're trying to do is we try to create a community. We need a sustainable community in every school, and also intra and inter school as well.
Right. And why community? What does community do to the study of those subjects?
Exactly like Bulan Sabit Merah or Lions, or Rotaract Club, Interact Club. They even though without the school support, they themselves sustain themselves. They have their own president. They have their own convention, their meeting. That's what we, for science, we should do the same for science. So what we're doing is two things. Number one, we go to school, we tell the school that let's merge all your computer club, science club, because these people have the same interest and passion. We put them together, we call it STEM club, or with art, STEAM club, or with reading, stream club, whatever they want to call it. Put them together, we set a discipline. So we see them every week, 1 hour during ECA or CCA hours. And that's on the surface. And after that, we organize events. So last year, we have Sarawak's first science fair. And this year, we're going to make it open to the whole country. And then we're going to do a lot of public events. So we have one in August, one in June, one in November. So we do it year in, year out. So, and we do it every year.
Okay. Yep. And we'll hold that thought. Just again, quick reminder that you're from Sarawak, and I think it's a very important part of the story. I'm going to come back to that. Selvi, you're a senior lecturer in physics at University of Malaya. Tell us about your relationship to the promotion of STEM subjects.
Okay, actually I'm a material physicist, so...
a material physicist?
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at substances at a molecular level or something?
Yes, yeah, we work on materials, and those has ferroelectricity or piezoelectricity, functional materials. But actually when I start my career, I was given the opportunity to be the coordinator for social engagement project, and we actually bring first-year students to actually give back to the society. So when we did a lot of work with schools, we did STEM projects with schools, and then I realized that when we go to school, it used to be like 5 classes before science classes, the ratio 5 to 2. Now it became like 2 to 5, and it's quite alarming to see that, you know, not many students are taking science as their STEM subjects as their career path. So then it actually motivated us to, you know, we see science as, you know, so amazing. So we want to share our passion with schools. So that's how I actually went into STEM's projects.
Okay, but can I ask you from the start, because the question of dwindling numbers of young people wanting to take STEM subjects, yes, plus the fact that at the moment it tends to be dominated by young boys, not girls, what led you into the sciences? I mean, was there something exceptional about your upbringing that made you want to go into the sciences? Did you have role models? Oh, okay. Why the sciences for you?
All right. You know, when I was young, I loved doing math. So, you know, we like to we have this critical mind. You know, we want to see science. And you used to watch all this MacGyver shows. You know, he just comes out with something. This kind of things is actually inspired us to go into science. Actually.
Okay, so kind of a budding MacGyver. That's so interesting, because I think, in fact, you'll see all these little gadgets, these boxes here, they're full of gadgets, and later on, Kenneth is going to explain to us what they are about. But coming back to you, Fahmi, you know, you, of course, a member of Parliament for the ruling coalition. There's an opportunity now for your government to change what's happening in our schools. What do you understand? I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of the Ministry of Education, but what do you understand is the government's commitment, at least in terms of STEM subjects and thinking about education?
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm a backbencher in Parliament, so I'm a lawmaker. So I'm not part of the executive. Technically, I'm a supporter of the government in Parliament. But be that as it may, I think today we had Dr. Mazli come up to outline some of the priorities for schools going forward, and he mentioned STREAM. I think one of the key things that's necessary for me is to reignite passion and imagination among Malaysian children to look at science in a whole new way. I'll give an example. In Lembah Pantai, my constituency, we have this one institution which this year, on the 7th of February, will celebrate its 25th anniversary, which is the planetarium. And I don't know how many of us have gone to the planetarium more than once, if we ever went in school. But again, seeing it now as an adult, I just went recently, and I'm just surprised, you know, at the kind of wonder when you look at the night sky, which we don't see because we are in Kuala Lumpur, for example. But it's really, for me, in this new administration, to allow children to open up their vistas, to look at the world afresh. And I think that's where STEM or STEAM or STREAM can assist. As a lawmaker, I want to see change there.
Wonderful. Again, lawmakers and backbenchers are extraordinarily important, especially in this period of transition. Kenneth, back to you, engaging with schools, and you've engaged with a lot of schools in Sarawak. Tell us about the conditions in schools. I mean, are schools equipped? Are they, are they primed for teaching STEM subjects in a way that's much more than the traditional textbook-based methods?
Well, it all depends, actually. So how do you define the STEM? Is it STEM where most of the school right now, the majority of them are teaching computer science in a way that I've been in one school where they are teaching them how to type. So
how to type?
How to type, yeah. So you don't realize our generation are typing pretty well because we are used to the keyboard. But kids right now, they are typing faster with their thumbs because of the smartphones, right? So most of my students can't type. They type like that. They type like how my dad would type on the typewriter. So schools are actually teaching Excel spreadsheet where these kind of things I discovered myself how to use, right, instead of being taught by school. So for that, yes, the school is well equipped. But if you're talking about the real problem solving when it comes to STEM, for me, science, technology, these are all problem solving skills. So we are equipping them better for next time when they go into the industry, they are solving problems for their employers or for the country.
When you say we, you're talking about what the learning curve is doing.
I know I mean, we should be problem
That's what we
solvers.
ought to be doing. But are the schools doing that? I think that is the main question. We're going to be coming back in the next segment to look at precisely that question about what exactly our schools are doing for our kids when it comes to STEM education. Stay tuned to more. This is Let's Talk.
So we're from SMK Sentrisa, and our project is the magic light.
And our team name is Orbit, and we're from SMK St. Thomas. Our project is called the Eco Compressor. It's basically air conditioning, but requires zero electricity.
We're from SMK Tinggi Kuching. It's the aquaponic farming system. Aquaponics is the combination of aquaculture and hydroponics.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Abigail, this is Amanda, and this is Sandhya. Project is the wireless bulb tester. You can test it here without using electricity.
We're from the electric vehicle team.
This electric vehicle is capable of running 30 to 40 kilometers per hour for 40 minutes.
We are the solar team for the SEB power project.
I am the team leader of this hydroelectric dam project. For me, finally, there is something fun to learn and apply my knowledge into.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. With me, Kenneth Chai, Thamil, Selvi, Velyutham, and also Fahmi Fadzil, MP for Lembah, Pantai. All of them here to discuss the question of STEM subjects. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. Thank you very much. That was an interesting video. Kenneth, tell us about that video. What was that an example of?
Like I said just now, right, we're trying to create a STEM community and we're going to organize events. That was last year when we tried to organize. I realized that we don't have a science fair. We don't have a science convention. So last year we organized...
Entirely for the country?
I'm not sure about the country, but for Sarawak, yes. Not focusing on science. I mean, like sometimes you have science competition somewhere here and there, but what I want is a real science fair annually happening. And kids can look forward to when they go to school. Yeah, when the teacher are teaching something, I said, okay, I'm going to do that for the science fair. So we did that last year. At a mall, so we have about 20 teams coming. So the theme is renewable and sustainable energy. So they start using all these computers and electronics, try to create something. Some of them use Arduino, some of them use Raspberry Pi. So those are the winners that we see just now. So it was a science competition. And then one thing I want to highlight is you see there's 3 hydroelectric EV and a solar. So those are my power team where they are the flagship projects. So we take, like I said just now, we have 6 schools. So we, from the 6 schools, we form a team. Each student, so we have 2 private school students, 2 international school students, 2 public school students, and UEC students. We form a team and they create an electric car.
Oh, okay. Fascinating. I want to ask you, can we come back to something we were talking about earlier, which is one, there's a decline in interest in STEM subjects. The kids and their parents are deciding not to go into that stream. 2, you said that STEM subjects teach problem-solving skills. It seems an extraordinarily important part of your education. The question is, Selvi, why don't kids want to do STEM subjects?
Okay, that's actually to think about it. You know, the great thinkers in science, STEM educations, you can see that they have this particular interest. They are constantly being curious. So school is actually providing this to the students. This is one question. So Einstein has this famous quote. He says that he's not smart, but he stays with the problem longer. So if you think about children in school, they have this potential, but are we giving them the time, or are we giving them the opportunity for them to, stay with the problem longer? Okay, if you see the school's education system, they're actually looking into product rather than the process. For example, let's say a teacher teaches.
Product would be exams and
so I give you an example. Let's say a teacher is teaching, they will take a certain minutes to teach certain subjects, and then they give all the procedures for the child to strive for the right answer. Okay, when they are successful, they are graded. So where is the process there? Okay, they are not, the traditional curriculum is not actually training them to the career path where, the students can innovate or have the critical thinking. And
Right. So there's something in the curriculum. Is that your experience too, Kenneth? That there's something in the curriculum that's wrong. We have this aspiration to promote STEM subjects, but we're not doing it right, even at the very foundations in terms of the curriculum.
I wouldn't say it's wrong, but then most of our teachers, parents, and students are not seeing science as subjects that is to solve problems, but to score for exams. So it's more important to get 100 for their subjects, A1, get a scholarship and all those things, instead of are they really doing something practical? Are they learning? They're studying. Definitely. Are they learning? They're memorizing. So after do they get to apply what they have learned? So there's a pyramid in learning, right? So the first thing is studying, and then you're memorizing. Can they apply? So the pinnacle of learning is actually to create and innovate. So how many students actually cross that barrier? And then how many students are actually just stuck there between memorizing and studying? Those are easy. That's the bottom of the pyramid. So
okay, but is that true also of many parents? And I don't know if you can weigh in on this, Fahmi, as a parent yourself. I mean, the idea that parents are obsessed with exam results, things that are quantifiable. Because when we talk about solving skills and problem, those kinds of things are a little less tangible, right?
Yeah, my son is 5, so the thing is he looks at the world in a completely different way, and I think this is where, for me, at the heart of science, it's about being inquisitive. It's curiosity, and it's beyond that. It's a struggle to try to understand. And that's where, when I look at my son and I wonder, I've been asked this question before, where do you want to send your son when he goes to university? And I said, I want to work hard. For me as a lawmaker and in Pakatan Harapan, I want to make sure that my son feels proud that he would choose to go to UM by the time he can go to university. And the idea would be, maybe he might be a material physicist, or chemical engineer or something like that, whatever it may be. But as long as he never stops asking questions, I think that's the thing that I've learned. It's about instilling this in our children, in our students, because the fear is that more than just reading or memorizing, it's just following orders. This is a problem.
Right. I wonder, reflecting back on my own childhood, I remember that to get into the science stream, and I was a science stream kid, at least for the start, coming into Form 1, was that you're the brightest. The brightest went to the sciences, and then if you didn't do so well, you got into the arts, and then or maybe into commerce. Is that stopping us from really getting the best out of kids when it comes to STEM subjects, Selvi?
Yeah, I think that's also stereotyping. Girl is not good in doing maths, or they don't fit into into STEM careers. This is actually one of the concern. Even though you can see there's women actually doing very well in engineering or science career path, but I think this the stereotyping is one of the factors that actually sometimes make the students think that, okay, I'm not good enough to do this. That's
what about you, Kenneth? I mean, is that still a kind of thinking about who gets to do STEM subjects?
Yeah, so back in my school, only the straight A students are putting into their front. They try to fill up the seats first. So I used to be in Sekolah Cemerlang. It used to be a Sekolah Cemerlang. Right now, it's not anymore. So after back then it was called PMR, not PT3. So only the straight A student will fill up the first 3 classes. Those are the Science 1, Science 2, Science 3, right? So they'll fill it up. And after that, if they have seats, then they will try to get the 6 A's or, one short of A to go in. So
what's wrong with that thinking? Tell me. No. But is it because the thinking is that STEM subjects actually require you to be smarter, or at least better at study?
Exactly. So how do they quantify that? By exams, right? So if you're good in PMR, means you're good at memorizing. So if you're good at memorizing, you're going to be good in biology, chemistry, because these subjects, to score well in SPM, requires more memorizing. So, yep.
Yeah, but I had a problem with that when I went to study overseas. I realized when I went to the US, okay, SPM I did well, right? But once you go and you compete at another level, you realize, my goodness, you have to just shift the way you think about things. Yes. A lot of times when I was in secondary school and younger, the idea would be like, okay, just feed me, right? But the moment I went to the States, to university in Purdue, I was like, no, you go and feed yourself. go and try and find. And I think this is where we need to work a lot harder to make sure that it's not just that kids are inquisitive, but I think we have to give them the kind of necessary tools. Actually very rudimentary, very basic, which is like, you have to go and hunt and gather your own information, get it yourself. And
being self-directed and independent and critical as thinkers. Very interesting thought. Hold that thought, Kenneth. We're going to come right back. I'm speaking to Kenneth Chai from the Learning Curve, Thamil Selvi from University Malaya, and Fahmi Fadzil, MP for Lembah Pantai. We're talking about STEM subjects tonight. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. With me, Kenneth Chai from the Learning Curve, Thamil Selvi from University Malaya, and Fahmi Fadzil, MP for Lembah Pantai. We're talking about STEM subjects. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. I'm looking at my paper because I don't always remember these things. I was not very good at memorizing as a young person. I probably wasn't the smartest because by the time I got to Form 3, I was shunted into the kind of semi-science subjects, But this idea persists that the smart kids do best at STEM and they're going to go on to these wonderful careers. Kenneth, what's your experience about smart kids and not so smart kids, at least as defined by our examination system?
So, like I said just now, so I have most teachers, when they go into a class, they know which class they're going to. So they go into the first class, so they know, okay, these kids are the smart ones by their own definition. So when they go and teach science, for example, at the last class, they have sort of like a preset on their mind, right? So I'm teaching the smart students, I'm teaching not the smart students. So when I run my STEM classes in school, I don't have that kind of privilege. Okay, so when they come to my class, all of them will gather and sit according to where they want to sit, and I don't know where they, which class they're from. So when they do their projects, most often than not, the projects I find most innovative and exciting are usually not the ones from the best classes. Okay? Because the best classes, I'll realize that they will before they even start, they will come to me. So, am I doing it right? How much will I score for this? Am I hitting all the sweet spots in their their marking scheme? So there's no such thing.
So the exam smart.
Correct. So they are always worrying about if they're gonna get A or not. They're all about, I'm going to do this project, and this project has to get A. I have to get A for score A for STEM. But those that are willing to take risks, because science is all about investigative, inquisitive, like Fahmi mentioned, and about taking risks, right? Doing new things, never been done before, not willing to fail. They usually come not from the first few classes, and these are the projects that I really like, and those are the projects that you actually see on the video just now.
Okay, the ones that are successful because they're risk takers. Is that your experience as well, Selvi? That kids, whatever their exam grade they get, they're actually being intelligent is something quite different from whether you're good in exams.
Okay, so when you look at exams in schools especially, what are they trained to? Trained to answer the questions. So there's a set of questions that there are a set of answers. So teachers teach, most of the teachers, we went through that. They say, okay, if you have this type of questions, you answer in this way. So if you have treat some of the questions, if they ask you to think about it, I think the students cannot be able to answer. So this is actually what is happening out there, and everyone is chasing for getting A stars, so
4 flat.
4 flat, yeah.
What
exactly.
was it called?
4 flat.
4 flat.
CGPA.
Oh, I see. A
CGPA.
perfect score.
And they are scared to actually make mistakes. So they want to be perfect. So that is one of the reasons.
Okay, so being perfect is not necessarily the road to actually being intelligent. Interesting paradox, right? Because I think it's quite the opposite. A lot of parents, Fahmi, you said, your kid will be going to a school first 3 years, no exams. I mean, how brilliant is that?
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
It's going to happen because exactly what the Minister of Education has already announced, right? Yeah. No exam for those kids starting out in school. I do want to ask this though. Okay, so here we have the STEM subject. I know there's all these aspirations about being a modern nation, and STEM subjects are related to that because we think, oh, the hard sciences equals being modern and such. But we don't seem to be getting it right. And I'm wondering, again, you know, maybe Kenneth, you can help us demonstrate what is it to think about science and STEM in a more integrated fashion. I'm thinking about these little kits that you use, and maybe you can, at this point, you can explain what these kits are.
So these are the first module. Actually, we have 7 modules every year. So we keep changing our modules every year. So I think it's a 3-year program. So in January, they'll be doing mostly computer science. Computer science is just a fraction of STEM. STEM includes health science, economics, online marketing, e-commerce, electric cars, climate change. It's a very broad spectrum. It's just science. So this is our first module that we're going to let them have.
Right, this doesn't go into the class, it goes into the clubs in the school.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
tell us what it is, because it looks fascinating.
This is made by BBC in UK. So this.
You mean BBC, the media organisation?
Yeah, the British Broadcasting Corporation. So they made this this thing called microbit. So this is a microbit on the watch. It can be made. It's a single board computer, right? So they use this to connect to different sensors as an input and output to whatever you want. For example, later on, Fahmi is going to demonstrate how to make a smart fan. So as soon as you touch it, it will turn on. So it's a basic, we have to let them go into that thinking. Computer is all about processing, input, and output. That's it, just like us. Input, process, output. So if I ask you an input, I give you 2 numbers, 1 plus 1, you process, you add it up, and output the number 2. So computers are just the same thing.
Okay, so you're saying that by giving kids this, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like, you know, if you're into gadgets, it would be like a really fun class to go to. But what exactly do they learn? Because I think if you're trying to persuade schools and parents for time and maybe some dollars, the question is, how is it going to help them in the long run?
It's just a buzzword, actually, all this coding and everything. So what we're trying to do them is to solve problems. So let's say you're at home, your father spends 300 ringgit on electricity bill. So right now we bring into 3 subjects already. How do you use technology, science, and mathematics to solve and to reduce the electricity bill at home? So you're solving a problem, right? So what we do is we put a temperature sensor, we put a motion detector, so we find out what time do you fall asleep. If you fall asleep at 11:30, so 11:45, instruct the air conditioner to increase the temperature to 26, because when you fall asleep, right, your body temperature drops. This is biology again. And then you don't need the air conditioner to be 16 all the time. And then the artificial intelligence programming, the algorithm will find out that, okay, your dad actually wakes up at 6. So 5:30, reduce the temperature to 17 again. So that will probably save you 30% of your electricity bill, solving a problem.
So the kids in this kit, you have actually have already pre-made sensors, right?
Modular.
So they have to put it together. Is that where the problem solving comes?
They will have to assemble it according to whatever they want to build. This is just tools. They may be better than me. So what I'm providing them are the tools and guidance, whatever they want to make, up to them. So in June, we're going to have a competition, science, the second one in this year, and it's going to be bigger. So the theme this year is smart home. So they're going to use all these tools and create a smart home. So some of them are going to do intruder systems, some of them are going to do how to, like what I said just now, air conditioning, some of them are going to do to help their mom. If their mom is forgetful, forget to switch off the stove, there's a carbon monoxide sensor, there's a flame sensor. It can detect if the dad is smoking.
Oh, I think I would use one of those carbon monoxide sensors. Selvi, how important is play? I mean, you know, I know you work in the university and so you have a different set of kind of students, but in a more foundational level, how important is play and experimenting to developing your mind?
Okay, actually when I did a project with school, actually UM is greatly concerned about STEM. So we have a STEM education center in UM itself, and this UM Cares is actually a vehicle for UM STEM Center. So they actually funded our project. We did a toying with science project with school. This is primarily for primary schools. We actually created modules using toys. You know, right, toys is actually fun. When we talk about science, there is a fear. With children, they think that it's very hard, even though it's amazing. So what we want to do is, like, we want to to learn is actually you need to have some fun. So we did modules with students using toys, and then we have like a kit where the students actually build the toys, and then they be able to use the toys, and that's actually at the end of the module they actually have competition among themselves. So.
Right, okay, so using the same kind of methodologies, I mean, it seems, play, building yourself, applying your things, and you have 3 principles in your system. You told me before that when kids come to do your interactive class...
Oh, right before they register, they have to swear.
They have to
They'll
swear.
take an oath,
Oh,
yeah.
we don't allow swearing on this show, but never mind. Tell us, what do they swear?
So they take an oath. So usually in assembly, when I stress them, right, usually the school let me go for an assembly first. So they have to promise me they will not ask for any exams. They will not ask for any homeworks. Okay, and they cannot take notes. Whatever they learn is hands-on. They have to use their hands.
What happened to your kids? They're asking for homework, Fahmi. They're asking for homework. Okay, we're going to be back with more on the STEM education issue for the country. Kenneth, Chai, Thamil, Selvi, Fahmi, Fadzil. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. With me, Kenneth, Chai, Thamil, Selvi, Fahmi, Fadzil, all of here talking about STEM subjects, the real push that the education system had on these subjects, science, technology, engineering, math, but also some of the problems that we've had in terms of schools developing the actual capacity for it. Now, in order to demonstrate the power of applied learning, we're going to attempt to create a smart NP. And so we have Fahmi Fadzil from Lembah, Pantai, who's kindly volunteered. And Kenneth is going to teach him how to code in 5 minutes. Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do, Kenneth?
That's for my students, but I'm not sure about Fahmi.
Okay,
I'm going to try.
The kids can do it in 5 minutes. We'll see how you fare. Now, we have quite a number of gadgets there. We have this laptop. Fahmi will claim that he actually built it in the break, but I think it might not be true. We're going to invite Billy Sia, who's a facilitator with the Learning Curve, to help us and help Fahmi. So what we're going to have to ask you to do now, Kenneth, is to explain what you're doing. As you teach Fahmi how to do this. In fact, it's something I would love to learn how to do, coding. And then as Billy demonstrates and perhaps breaks a few things, this show will carry on. So tell us, what exactly is happening when you teach somebody to do coding? What exactly is coding?
Again, problem solving. So what they're going to solve problems is using the power of computing, right? So a computer can think and act and react much more precise, accurate compared to a human brain, right? So what we're going to do is just going to give them a simple computing tool. For in this case, we're using a microbit from BBC. So what he's doing right now is, microbit is made so convenient that you can code it from any browser, any computer, any smartphones, and even a Raspberry Pi, which is another small computer. So you can be
a Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi is a single-board small computer that works like a computer, but costs
hardly anything.
100 ringgit
100
for a
ringgit.
computer.
Okay.
Yeah, 100 ringgit for the cheapest one, and then you have 150 maximum.
Right.
So
okay.
what Fahmi is going to do right now is he's going to lock on, and then what he's trying to do, I think you can see on his screen right now. So what he's trying to do right now is to code in a sort of interface which is like jigsaw puzzle. So he's going to put in, like how our students do, so he's going to drag in different pieces. So again, what a computer does is very simple. On its essence, fundamentally, it's just doing if, else, then. Just like what you do in the morning, if you wake up before, let's say 6, you sleep back, else, you wake up and brush your teeth, right? What the computer does is, it does that 1 trillion times per second. Way faster than us, way more efficient than us. So our brain is actually just like a biological computer, right? So what he's trying to do right now is to do an if, else, then. So if, whatever input that he uses, if he does something, what happens? Else, what happens? So that's a simple part of coding: input, output, processing.
Okay, I remember coding as being this complicated algorithms. It looks like a lot of squiggly numbers and symbols. Is that what coding is today?
No, we tried to make it into a drag and drop thing. So it started when Microsoft tried to do something called Visual Basic. So right now, to make it easier, we have the MIT develop an app called Scratch. Which
This
is
is the
for
Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Correct. So they have something called Scratch, which will revolutionize how we teach kids how to code. So they're using something similar, like a drag and drop jigsaw puzzle thing. So the pieces have to fit together, and then there's a workflow, and then it works. So you don't have to. If you want to check out the code, you can actually check out the code. You can see on top there's blocks, and then there's JavaScript. Once you click the JavaScript, you can see the code. So more challenging tasks for the Form 4, Form 5 probably, they will do the coding. It gets more complex.
Is that what the curriculum is in schools, in fact? I mean, are kids being taught this in school?
No.
I know you said they're being taught typing, which is a skill that you might, if you want to join the steno pool, but why aren't they taught coding?
Okay, I'm not going to speak on behalf of all the schools in Malaysia, but most of the time, right, the teachers are not equipped enough.
Okay, so you're being polite and diplomatic, but the teachers themselves are not equipped. So how is it that we could have an education policy with STEM at its heart, and saying we want to promote this, but not have teachers who know how to do this, and to do this in a way that's really fun and interesting? I mean, the work that you do in your outreach program, Selvi, what you're doing now in your social enterprise, Kenneth, seems full of passion and ingenuity. I mean, you're bringing so much to the table. Why is it, do you think, it's missing in our schools?
Well, most of the schools, I mean, like, it needs reforms at all levels, right? So the teachers themselves need to,
lack of insufficient
training,
knowledge. Yeah, exactly.
None of us are teachers. We're not good enough to be teachers.
Yes.
We're just engineers. And then we just happen to have a passion in education.
Well, that's fascinating. Okay, so where is Fahmi now? So I see Fahmi,
I'm here. I'm right
plugging.
here. I'm Sharaad. I'm right in front of you.
I see you. I mean, where
It's only
you?
1 minute.
In the sense of your struggle to reach the peak of knowledge, Fahmi.
So I've written some code, and then now I'm assembling the parts, and now this is supposed to work.
This looks like a fan. It looks like a fan.
It does, but
So I'll switch it on?
Yes. So okay.
So what were you? What's the problem you were trying to solve?
So right now, what we've done is we've gotten some logic thing going. So if I touch this, if I touch and it's supposed to turn on. Yeah, it's on.
Voila!
If you don't touch it?
Eureka!
And if I don't touch it, the board says no touch, no touch,
okay.
and the fan is not on.
There, 5 minutes.
And you touched, and you did it.
So
Okay.
if I touch it, see it says there's a tick and it's on.
My God, we have a certified smart MP. Now, Fahmi, as you were struggling with this problem, let me tell you, we were struggling with another one.
So, okay.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you so much for joining us,
I need to
Billy.
interject here.
Facilitator with the Lady Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can show it on the screen right now. So right now, everything's in block, right? Is it on the screen? Yeah, okay. So right now everything's in block. So Fahmi, can you show them your code in JavaScript right now? So what he did there, you can see that it's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
And then if you go to JavaScript, switching to JavaScript, you can see all the codes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
so those are the codes.
Ah, right. Okay, so that's all the squiggles.
Yeah, so
that I'm
back
used
then
to.
I have to memorize how to type all this. And right now it's jigsaw puzzles and code. So this is how accessible it is to learn.
Okay, so we have this, an extraordinarily cheap setup with the computer, with the Raspberry board, is it you call it?
By microbit.
Microbit, okay.
Yeah.
The question is, teachers apparently, Fahmi, don't have the skills to teach this kind of thing to their kids with the same passion and ingenuity. Maybe they have the passion, but they just don't have the skills. What does it need to be done? I mean, backbenchers, like, you're thinking about this problem.
Yeah, I think definitely we need to lighten the load of teachers. I think the Minister of Education is on the right path towards that.
Lighten the administrative load so they can focus on the teaching, is it?
So that they can focus on the teaching, but at the same time, I think change the way we think about education itself. I think we're beginning to see that. And the thing is that we're not going to see any change really, at least for the next 1 year, 2 years. You know, things will take some time. At the same time, I think there are some things that I feel we need to have. For example, I think we need to identify someone who can be kind of like a chief scientist for the government of Malaysia. And what this is imagine if we had our own, say, like someone who can help popularize STEM on mass media, someone like a Bill Nye, right? Bill Nye, the
Neil
science
deGrasse
guy.
Tyson.
Or Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? Who'll talk about black holes and...
These are communicators, right? There's
communicators.
Yeah.
We do have. I think we need to see more of that. People need to understand that it's like what Kenneth showed just now. I mean, when you think about code, you think about ones and zeros. But actually, if you communicate it well, actually you can show it as blocks, like how I did it just now. I could do it, you know, and I haven't touched code in like 15 years, right? So I think that's one thing which we need to get quite soon off the ground. The best thing is, guys, our minister of MESTEC, yeah, is she's an engineer, yeah, she's a minister, she's young, she's Yobian. I think she fits that bill. Like, she should be the one who's communicating a lot of this, so that more young people feel empowered and feel like, you know, and we want more women, for example, to get involved. So I think she's a great, you know, like a idola or someone that
Ambassador for
ambassador,
science.
yeah.
Right, okay. And we'll come back to more ideas of what can be done to change the situation of STEM education. In fact, all education in the system that we have currently. Stay tuned to Let's Talk. Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. With me, Fahmi Fadzil, MP for Lembah Pantai. He's just got a little star. He's a smart MP now. Thamil Selvi Velyutham. She is with University of Malaya and its physics department. She's also part of a research project that comes from the University of Malaya STEM Research Center, and they're looking at how STEM subjects is taught. And also Kenneth, he's with the Learning Curve. He's the founder of the Learning Curve, and he's been demonstrating for us what can be done. Now, a lot of people think when it talks about science and technology, that's very expensive. And we hear of, you know, governments and previous administrations spending millions, gazillions of dollars buying computers to put in our schools. What's going on there, Kenneth, from your point of view?
Most of the time, school, when they equip their computer labs with computers, they're thinking about conventional computers, you know, those towers, the big black towers that they buy, and then these are expensive. So I talked to a few schools. Some of the schools spend 7 years to 9 years not buying computers, saving up the budget to renew their computers. And these computers are usually hiding there, collecting dust, and the children are not allowed to open and everything. So this computer belongs to cubicles, to professionals, but not to kids. So there is a cheaper way to buy single board computers, which is faster than, for example, this MacBook. Then it will have all these connections like what Fahmi just did at a fraction of the cost. So when we think about computers, right, we need to change the way we think about it. We need to reform our thoughts on computers. So a computer like a single board computer that is capable of a laptop, which gives all the connections that they want to connect all these sensors and everything to learn coding, and also something that the kids can own in terms of when they come to the class, they just put in an SD card, it's all their desktop, they can customize it, and when they leave, they take off the SD card, and other students come, and these computers are in the hundreds, and they can change it every year. And
in hundreds of ringgit.
Correct.
Right, okay, so Fahmi, what's going on? Why were schools spending thousands and thousands of dollars on very expensive computers, millions of dollars actually? And is that thinking going to change?
Yeah, it has to change. I think I'll give an example. In Lembah Pantai, there's a school called SMK Sri Pantai. In the middle of last year, they had the roof of one of the buildings got blown off in a storm, and they had 30 computers wrecked. So I've been talking to the school, and just to replace that costs like 40,000 ringgit. And here I am, you know, having seen this kind of technology, this kind of very simple, and I am convinced that I would like to bring this into schools in Lembah Pantai throughout Kuala Lumpur. I think people need to change the way we think. Technology does not have to be expensive. Technology has to be accessible. Technology has to inspire curiosity. And I think we need to put this into the hands of a lot more young people,
right,
so that they can really see for themselves, like, okay, this is a future that I can be a part of.
So Lembah is very interesting as a constituency. It's got the high end, you know, the Bangsa crowd, people that have no problems with money apparently, and then it has your urban poor, which is of course a reality of much of Malaysia. Now, I know, Kenneth, you work in Sarawak, and you said you had 6 schools under you. It's all in urban Sarawak, I understand.
Semi-urban.
Semi-urban. What about rural Malaysia, rural Sarawak, rural Sabah, rural Peninsula. Can something be done for those kids in order to make this kind of thing happen?
Yes, so if a school spends 7,000 for a new PC, 7,000, I can equip the entire lab with more access with all these things. So what they have to do is just buy a single board computer that's powered by batteries. So the new computers that we talk about are powered by 5-volt battery, the power bank. So you lower your inventory, you don't need electricity, it's powered by power banks, and it's cheaper, faster. What else are you asking for?
Okay, but then you still need that other component, the teacher, right? The facilitator, the person that interfaces between the technology and the child and has that philosophical outlook that you have and the people in your group have. And how we equip them with that?
That's the most challenging part that we're trying to solve right now, which is manpower. The hardwares are easy to find, the software is easy to find, but the talent and the passion, that's really hard to find.
Selvi, do you think there's something that needs to be done in teacher training? We need to go back to where the teachers are coming from rather than trying to solve the problem in the schools where the teachers are already.
Okay, there's actually a research done by Michigan University Technology, I think. They actually reported that elementary school teachers, they are actually they have anxiety. Many teachers have anxiety teaching STEMs in schools. The lack of confidence is due to there's insufficient knowledge in the particular subject, or insufficient content on pedagogy, how to teach STEM in schools. And this is not something, there's a problem because most of the elementary school teachers are generalized, and they are taught that they can teach all the subjects, but they are not actually trained to teach such subjects. So I think in that sense, we need to look into teachers, especially elementary teachers, because that's actually the fundamentals for children to inspire to do science in the future.
Right. So the foundation taught by teachers who need better training. Now, Fahmi, there used to be a darker time in the country when politicians didn't go into schools and schools are very bureaucratic. I mean, is that a problem now for somebody like Kenneth wanting to access schools and wanting to convince schools to take on these projects and let them come in? The issues, I guess, with the entrance of the social enterprise into a school. Is that still going to be a big problem, do you think, in the new Malaysia?
No, I don't think so. I think at least not in Lembah Pantai. Yeah, but I think the thing is that we need to expose a lot of administrators and policymakers to this kind of change. Without that kind of political will, I think it's difficult to see change. And I think I, for one, I'm convinced. Actually, I've met Kenneth in Parliament, so he's shown me this technology before, and I think it makes absolute sense. If it means we can save the rakyat some money by having cheaper alternatives to see this kind of technology in action, I see why not. And if it cuts cost and still learn a lot more, I think we should give it a go.
Right, because there's another conversation about the margins falling for all the brokers that used to make huge margins on projects supplying schools with equipment. But that's another show, and we're going to come back to that later. Okay, another day. I mean, Kenneth, I want to say in the remaining minutes that we have, what do you want people to be focused on? I mean, hearing what we've heard today with Selvi, yourself, and what Fahmi is also advocating, what should they take away from this discussion? What are the key takeaways for you, ought to be, from people listening to this show?
So deep inside, I mean, as an educator, right, and also as a parent, my kid is 4. So there's one thing I learned from actually teaching my own kid, right? So we have to know one thing. It's okay for teachers or parents to actually tell our kid, we don't know, but let's find out together. Instead of just being, your ego taking over.
I don't know, but I'll be in a journey with you.
So that's, I realized that's the fastest way for me to teach my kid. So when my kid wakes up and asks why, how, sometimes I just sit down, you know what, son, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's go out to the garden, find out. And that is where they learn and respect and everything, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Selvi, what would you like people to remember from this conversation that we just had? Okay,
learning, going to STEM, it's something, it shouldn't be something you think is hard. It should be experiential learning. So let them go into it and experience, and if they fail, let them fail and then learn from there. So that should be the way to learn, or if you want to go forward in STEM educations.
Okay, so bringing back that applied dimension to the Fahmi, your final words in the remaining seconds that we have.
We need political will to bring this change. I think this administration will work very hard to make sure that we see that change in this session, in this penggal of Parliament.
Okay, thank you so much. Fahmi, Fadzil, Lembah, Pantai MP, Kenneth Chai, The Learning Curve, your founder, and of course Thamil Selvi, Velyutham, who's from University of Malaya Physics Department. Thank you all for being with me this evening. This has been Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan, only on Astro AWANI.